All
There we go.
right. In five, four, three, two, one. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Junior Golf Podcast. I'm your host, Ro Thompson. And as always, we got a special guest in the building tonight, none other than Eric Duffett, founder of Shot Pattern. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, Ro, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and nothing. I can't imagine doing anything better on a cold Chicago evening. So happy to
Right.
talk some golf tonight.
Good, man. Y'all getting any snow yet?
Oh yeah, shoveled the driveway a few times already. So we're fully in indoor season.
Okay. Okay. And they typically close down the courses in that area, right?
Yeah. We're not allowed to post for handicap, and it's closed. Maybe they pop them open on a warm day here or there, but yeah, they're closed.
Okay, good, man. Well, listen, I'm really looking forward to this talk tonight. I'm working. Hold on, I got to sneeze. I work. I'm working with a couple of juniors, and we're talking course management, and just making smarter decisions on the course. And I know we're going to get into all that tonight, so I'm really looking forward to this call tonight. But before we get into all the, schematics, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I live in the Chicago area. I'm a dad. I'm married. I got two kids, a 6 and a 2 year old, and I love to play. I've been playing as long as I can remember. And I'm a self-taught app developer, and I just kind of married together my passion for golf and knowing how to build apps, and out came Shot Pattern. And so yeah, it's been a really fun ride last couple years of building the app, and excited to talk further about what it does and how it can help juniors.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so your background computers?
No, I'm actually a high school teacher. So I teach business ed. I teach app
Okay.
development now that I know how to do it.
Okay.
I have a finance degree, so I just I feel almost like an adjunct professor at times. I take my business lessons from the real world, my app development skills from the real world, and I bring it to the high school setting. So I'm nearly fully self-taught. I did go to a boot camp a little while through school, but yeah, I just had an idea for an app back 10 years ago, a different app, and no money to pay somebody to build it, so I started figuring it out.
That is awesome, Eric. I'm not Eric. I'm the opposite. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a math teacher, and I went into finance.
Okay, there
Go,
you go.
go,
Yeah, opposite paths.
go figure, right? Yeah. So listen, so man, what was the inspiration behind the app pattern?
Yeah, so I love to listen to podcasts and learn all the time. I was listening to the Sweet Spot podcast with John Sherman and Adam Young. Scott Fawcett was a guest, and he talked about core strategy. He talked about the video he did for college teams, and in the video he talks about going on Google Maps, measuring the landing areas that the course has, and trying to figure out where to aim your driver to keep it out of trouble. I thought that was fascinating. I started going on Google Maps. I started just looking at golf courses and measuring them, and it was just like a hobby of like I want to see how this all works. I want to better understand how to attack a golf course. And eventually, I got to a point where I'd be standing on the course trying to remember all the stuff that I had done at home, and the tee had changed, or the wind was a little bit different, and I just got frustrated of trying to transfer that measuring I'd done at home to the course. And so I started tinkering, started building something for myself, really thinking it was for myself only as a little side hobby. But I liked the way it turned out. So I decided to publish to the App Store and start tweeting about it. And it has absolutely blown up and been adopted by colleges and professionals, and has gone far beyond anything I ever imagined at the beginning.
Yeah, I can only imagine, Eric, that if more junior golfers use this, I think the scores would be better. I'm a good friend of Scott Fawcett. I had him on the show about 3 or 4 years ago, so we developed a pretty good relationship since then. But what was like the aha moment of the shot pattern? I know you saw some podcasts, and I mean, what gave you the confidence? Because, like you said, you didn't know programming, and you know that was a hint that could have been a hindrance. But what gave you the feeling that, man, this could really do good?
So initially I didn't publish with a business thesis in mind.
Okay.
I had actually been trying to build a different app for 5 years prior to that, a golf meditation app for junior golfers, and it had been a slog. It had gone nowhere. So
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. I wasn't going to spend all my time trying to make an app, make money. I was just
Right.
going to do it for fun. And the aha moment was basically when I started getting professional golfers playing mini tours, sending me DMs saying, I love this app. What if you added this feature? What if you added this feature?
Ah,
And so I started to get serious signs of product market fit, is what we called in the business world, of like, okay, this can be more than I thought initially. Maybe I
mhm.
should start taking it a little bit more seriously. And then about 6 months in, somebody tried to buy it and made a very serious go at taking it off my hands. And I eventually decided I liked it too much. I wanted to keep it. And it was really declining that offer to sell it that put a lot of fuel into me in order to really push it to be all it could be. Because once I
Yeah.
said no to a dollar amount, I felt like, all right, now it's my job to go make way more than that. So that again, for some pretty strong signs early on from the market, from professional golfers.
Yeah. Now, what was that journey like, teaching yourself, you know, the functionality of the app? What was your biggest lesson that you learned from developing this app?
Yeah, so I think as I've been building it and as I've been working with players and as I've been using it for myself, one of the biggest things I've learned is that no two golfers look alike. Golfers have a unique fingerprint, and I think a lot of the best practices, a lot of the guidance is geared towards a tour player. And of course, tour players come in all different shapes and sizes, but I feel like in order to reach that level, you almost have to be so good, so dialed. You fit pretty neatly into a box, and the differences from one player to another end up being fairly small. But as I look at players from +2 handicap to 10 handicap, the things that they struggle with, the ways they need to improve their game, the way they need to attack a golf course changes so much from one player to another. Because there are players like me who are nearly tour average in length, but with a dispersion that is miles wide that is holding them back. And
Right.
others who can bunt it straight down the fairway and really they would benefit from getting longer, or their chipping and putting is holding them back. And I think just better understanding each golfer's unique approach to the game and unique needs of getting better, that's been the biggest thing. And it's been, and it has an even greater impact on the guidance that a golfer should get more than I ever imagined at the start.
That's good. Now, how do you envision this app helping junior golfers?
Yeah, I think there's a number of ways. First, um, I think juniors need to get a sense of where they're at from an accuracy perspective.
Right.
There's an obsession with distance. We all like there's a lot of benchmarks out there in terms of ball speeds and
Right.
driver distance. And I've been to the high level junior tournaments. Kids can mash it. It is really
Yeah.
impressive how
Yeah.
hard kids can hit the ball.
Right.
Um, but I don't think there's enough discussion of what their dispersion needs to be, especially with their driver off
Yeah.
the tee in order to play at the college level. And if you're chasing the college level, you need to embrace accuracy as an important part of your game. And that's not to say like disregard distance. Obviously, we know where their game's headed, but there's just not enough of discussion around how accurate do I need to be off the tee in
Mhm.
order to follow the guidance of send driver everywhere. Because if you're not accurate, you really can't follow that, and now you're handcuffed by your lack of accuracy, even though you might have the distance you were told you're supposed to have.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, they can bomb it. I mean, I've seen junior golfers, carry it 300, 310, and it'll roll up to 320, 330, whatever. But like you said, they can go. So when it comes to juniors using this app, walk us through how they can use the app to, let's say for example, they download the app and they want to start using it, and let's say they want to start maybe using it in practice. How does that go?
Yeah. So it's like almost two-sided. There's
Okay.
one side of feed your data in so that the app can reflect your data back to you so that you can see it on top of whatever golf course you're going to play next.
Gotcha.
So, as you get started, I'd say if you have access to a launch monitor, upload 20 or 30 drives. You
Okay.
can upload from a spreadsheet and get some data in there so you can get a sense as to what that looks like.
Right.
Players should be aware you're probably going to be a lot more accurate indoors hitting on a launch monitor than you are on the course, but it can help you get started. And then from there, start looking at the golf courses you're most familiar with. Start measuring the width of the landing area. So the size of the
Hmm.
fairway plus any rough where you're not going to be in the water hazard, out of bounds, in a bunker, into the trees, anywhere where you have a clear path to the green, that's like your safe landing area. And
Hmm.
if you look at a half dozen courses, you'll start to understand the geometry of the game, how much space you can expect to have off the tee. What does a really narrow tee shot look like in terms of yards side to side? What does a wide open green light fairway or hole look like?
Hmm.
I like and so again, just get in that process that I talked about at the beginning of measuring golf courses.
Yeah.
And shot pattern makes it simple, easy. You can do it when you're sitting on the couch and waiting for the commercial to go by. You can do it when you're sitting on the toilet. You can do it just for fun before bed. I think golfers at this level love to just think about their next round. They love to anticipate playing again. And this is a way to just mentally prepare for your next round of golf.
So Eric, what you're saying is you can go, okay, so let's say for example, let's say I'm a junior golfer and I have a tournament at, let's say, uh Swamp Creek, Swamp Creek Country Club.
Yeah.
I can pull up Swamp Creek, right? And can I look at every hole and put my shot pattern on every hole and kind of map out my round like that?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for asking the follow-up question because I'm too close to it to see what I haven't said yet.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
so that's what you should be doing. That is what um college players are doing. That's what their coach is walking them through every single hole. Here's what we're looking at. Here's your
Good.
ability. Here's our game plan. So yeah, you should pull up Swamp Creek. You should, and then the app has a couple of different ways of overlaying your shot dispersion. But the simplest way, there's
Yeah.
an arc on the screen measuring
Right.
side to side that's going to match your driver dispersion, and
Right.
you're pulling that out to your driver number, and you're looking to see, do I have enough room side to side that if I hit driver, I'm not going to hit the ball into a penalty area. We've
Right.
got to have a safe way to advance the ball forward. So we have to stay out of bounds. Absolutely, we have to
Yeah.
keep the ball out of the water, and we really need to limit the number of recovery shots that we have because if you hit the ball in the trees and you have to come out sideways,
That's out.
that's
Yeah.
that's nearly as bad as a penalty stroke. And honestly, for juniors, um, they are often so much more capable of turning a bogey into an 8, a 10, or a 12 when they get into a recovery situation because
Mhm.
their decision making from the recovery situation can be so poor that again you need to look at a thicket of trees as potentially as penalizing as water, um, because again things can really go sideways when you get a punch out situation and you're just eager to try to make something more out of it than you should.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's good that's good to hear, Eric. And so, a lot of pros talk about, managing your misses. How does shot pattern help with managing your misses and, you know, figuring out what's a good miss? Because okay, so like when we take the dispersion, right? Even though we're staying out of the penalty, we might be a little left in the rough or, you know, but that's better than being in the penalty area, right?
Yeah, exactly. We shouldn't look at being in the rough unless it's an exceptionally difficult US Open style setup. We shouldn't
Right,
look at being in the rough as being something terrible. Usually, it's really not that much of a penalty to your expected score in the hole.
right,
Um, and so, in terms of managing your misses, we are looking to give you as much confidence standing on the tee as possible that that when you swing, you know you have room to hit a less than perfect shot. I think that's actually what shot pattern gives you. And it can see a little bit negative at first of like, oh, I got to think about where it's going to go if I miss.
Mm-hmm.
But when it really flips it on its head, you know that you have the freedom to make a golf swing, because if you miss it a little, you're not going to have a catastrophic outcome. You're not going to lose a ball. You're not going to hit it into a place where you're seriously damaging your score. So we are looking to give you freedom by finding a place where you have as much margin for error as possible, as you advance the ball towards the hole.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Eric. And just to kind of switch gears a little bit, Eric, I've been working with some junior golfers, and I've been, talking to them about um, hitting to a number. Whether it's 100 yards, 125, 150 or whatever. Um, Talk a little bit about how that helps manage their score, because a lot of times it's a decision about, okay, should I hit driver off the tee, should I lay up to a number? Because sometimes if you drive it and you hit it to 50 yards, sometimes that can bring in a shot that you don't typically hit, and you might not hit it that great toward the green. So talk about maybe hitting it to a number, and kind of managing your round a little bit.
Yeah, I think there are people all on all sides of this in terms of, should I lay it up to a favorite number? Should I get it as close to the green as possible?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I think I think you can make mistakes both ways, laying
right.
up to a number, going as close to the green as possible. Here's what I'll tell you. I've worked with a really smart guy named Austin. He does some analytics for professional players,
Okay.
and one thing that he helps highlight at the professional level
Hmm.
is that at a certain point, gaining 20 yards closer
Hmm.
doesn't really lower your expected score for the hole.
Gotcha.
So we should be thinking about, if I'm trying to push it forward, how
Hmm.
much better am I from 70 yards than 90 yards?
Right.
Am I really going to make more birdies from 20 yards closer, or am I about the same from both areas? I don't know for you. I What I want you to do is start to measure your own game. Is your
Hmm.
proximity better from 70? Is it better from 50? And have data in front of you that says, you know
Right.
what, the further I push it, the better I am. So I know I should push it forward. Um, but along with that, you have to understand that the further you try to hit it, the wider your dispersion gets, and you can get yourself into some pretty ugly spots if you miss it 40 yards left trying to
Right.
go for a par 5 and 2, and now you've got a weird angle over a bunker, green running away from you, and you thought you were doing the smart thing by pushing it forward because people have said, "Hey, push it forward." But
Yeah.
you've effectively short-sighted yourself, and now par is a great score. And so we really need to think about all aspects. Like, what am I capable of in terms of the shots, the options that I have in front of me,
Hmm.
and what is my expected score going to be in a best case and worst case situation? I think we're going to talk about strokes gained today, and that's what I keep referring to with this expected score. So maybe we should define that for our audience before we go any further.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Because one of the things that I've done, because we're big decade users. What I would do with my junior is I would map out each shot um during every tournament, and then come back in, plug the data in. It would let us know how many strokes was lost, how many strokes was gained, in the four key areas. Does the shot pattern put out that type data as well?
Yeah, we do. And for the
Okay,
tournament player, I love our data entry. It's map based. It's super fast. It's tap tap tap. And
beautiful.
one thing that we ask of the player is that you indicate your intended target, so that we can really understand how good you are at putting the ball on target. And so, yeah, with that data entry, we will get strokes gain numbers across the four areas that you mentioned, and we have it shot by shot. You can see all the details of
Mhm.
where you performed well and where you performed poorly, and see trends over time so you know what to work on. But what strokes gained does, I think the way I've started to try to describe it
Mhm.
is that, if you're looking to understand strokes gained, you know that if you're standing on the tee box on a par 4 and you say, how long is this hole? I can give you an answer in yards. I can give you an answer in meters. Both of
Yeah.
those are the same distance. And
Mm-hmm.
strokes gained really has an answer in how many strokes we expect it to take you to get the ball in the hole
Mm-hmm.
based on your handicap.
Okay.
So if I'm a scratch player on a 400-yard par four, on average, it would take me about 4.25 shots, I think is the number. I'm just guessing off the
Just
top of
throwing
my
it
head.
out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And so, no matter where you are on a golf course, if we know your lie and we know how far you are from the hole, we can say, here's how many shots it takes a player of your ability to get the ball in the hole on average. And so we start with that expected score number in mind. And then you hit the shot. And then we see if your expected score has gotten at least one stroke closer to the hole. And
Right.
if you have gotten more than one stroke closer to the hole, then you've gained strokes. And if you have not, then you've lost strokes on that shot. And
Right.
again, it's a shot by shot. What is the expected score of the next one and the next one and the next one? And it's just based on the past history of a whole bunch of golfers and how they perform from different areas. And it's as simple as a really big chart that says if you're
Mm-hmm.
150 yards, your expected score is 3.5. And if you hit it to 8 feet, then you've just gained a whole bunch of strokes because uh, now we're expecting you to take about 1.5, 1.6 shots to get it in from there.
That's right. I love I've always loved the shot data because what it tells you is it tells you what you essentially what you need to work on. Right. So that's real good. So what do you see as the future of shot pattern, Eric?
Yeah, so we're adding green maps soon, so that's a fun thing for the tournament player. Again,
Right.
so much of what I try to do is geared towards the person who has to play by the rules.
Okay.
There's a lot of great technology out there that if you want to keep a handicap or if you're playing in tournaments, you have to turn it off. And I learned at an early age in junior golf that memorizing the rule book was your competitive advantage. If you
Friend.
know how to take the most advantageous drop,
Right.
you can do that. So if you know the rules, you can make them work for you. And so I've worked with the governing bodies to make sure that the app is within the rules. And so there are tons of features that are within the rules of golf and you can use in a competitive round. And so adding green maps is just another one of those features that helps the competitive player have everything they need in one place. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of yardage books, which can add up. Um,
Yes.
and so that's an exciting ad, making shot tracking easier. We recently did a end of year report that the feedback was just unbelievable. Where basically we take your entire season, we benchmark it against a whole bunch of areas of performance for your driver distance, your accuracy, your approach, all across. And then it gives you, at most reports end up be like 25, 30 pages of here is a narrative breakdown of all the areas where you're strong and weak and where you need to improve, where your double bogeys came from. And then, like, again, pages and pages of your performance from past years. So, given the response from that, we're going to do even more benchmarking, reporting, and then guidance so that a competitive player can say, hey, I'm going to keep in my stats for the last 10 rounds, take it to their coach, take it to their swing coach, and say, here's what I have. Here's what my data says I need to work on. Let's work on it together. So
That's good. That's good. I can't wait to kind of get into the app. And you got it on both platforms, Scott?
it's iOS only right now.
Oh, just now what about Android? See, I'm an Android Eric. I'm an Android user. So what about the Android users?
Yeah, there's a bunch of you out there that are chomping at the bit to get this. Yeah, it's still the timeline is in progress. I have to
Hmm.
figure out when the right time is to make the jump. With so many college teams interested in coming on board, it's probably going to be sooner rather than later.
Okay.
But I'm a one-man show, so I have to be
Right.
careful about making sure that I don't put something out there that I can't keep in feature parity with iOS or is not the same experience. So it feels like a diss on Android users, but honestly, I want to protect that when it's there, you get something of quality and you're not treated like a second class citizen. So.
Right. So now how many users you have out there approximately, Eric?
Yeah, it's sitting at about 100,000.
Okay.
We've got over 7,000 subscribers. Again, it includes a lot of college teams, professionals, junior golfers, avid amateurs. Yeah, so it's still new. It's 2.5 years old.
Hmm.
And so I don't know if that number sounds big or small, but in terms of an app, it's still just a baby, and there's still a lot of people who haven't explored it yet. But I'm really thrilled at the numbers so far.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get this out because I think it's important to for junior golfers to, especially if they want to play better. I think they need to try to be able to use every piece of technology that they can. I mean, even though golf is one of those games where you think, okay, uh, I need to just use my natural ability, but when you think about where we are with golf, there's a lot of technology going into golf now. And so I think with the addition of shot pattern, I think that'll give our junior golfers a little bit more edge. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, I work with high schoolers every day. I've coached
Right.
high school sports for nearly 15 years.
Okay.
One thing that's especially true for junior players is that they're emotional. By
Hmm.
nature, they are emotional athletes. I mean, we
Yeah.
all are, but I've seen it get the best of them in terms of their decision making on the course. And it doesn't matter what the sport is.
Yeah.
Um, and again, we've seen it from professional athletes, but it's really true for juniors. And so the way to combat that is not to expect yourself not to get upset or not to get angry, but to have a system, to have a way of doing things that you know is good for you, that you can trust, that you can try to get back to when you start to get upset about something that happened last hole or an unlucky break or a double bogey to go back to a system. And I think shot pattern is different from some of the other stuff out there like decade because it's not as opinionated in terms of we tell you exactly how to do it.
Right.
It's more personalized in that okay, here is your data reflected back to you,
Dispersion and yeah.
and understand okay, here is we're going to still go through what is this whole offering? Where are the landing areas? What does my dispersion look like? And regardless of what's happened, we are going to go through that process and we're going to find a way to keep the ball in play. And again, time and time again, we're gonna make picking smart targets part of what we do, part of who we are, regardless of what just has just happened.
That's great. That's great. So Eric, what give us some success stories that or a story or two that where you've seen shot pattern really elevate a player's game.
Yeah. So I'll give you one for myself and one win today, actually. I've been working with a content creator, professional player. He
Okay.
got his first win today as a
Oh,
professional player. So that
okay.
was really fun. And then early on, again, we talk about those little ignition moments.
Yeah.
There was somebody way back at the beginning who saw the app on Twitter, downloaded it the night before a tournament, used it to play in a PGA section event, and won the PGA section event.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
so again, I'm working with a college team right now, and I think that's their highest ever ranking in the school's
Mm,
history. So
okay.
a lot of little nuggets along the way, and usually it's I'm not going to take credit. It's not the app. It's the kind of person who is in search of the app, who is doing all of the things that they need to do to play their best that really gets the credit. And the app is one small little tool in their tool belt that they use to shoot lower scores. Um, for me, again, I was the audience at the start. I just wanted to play better myself.
Exactly.
Um, and I got down to my lowest handicap in I think 10 years this past year. And it came from switching my focus. I was obsessed with distance like everybody else. I'm 6'5". I hit the ball a pretty long way. It's basically the only thing I do exceptionally well on the golf course is to hit it far. And I knew that accuracy was a bit of a problem for me, but the app allowed me to really understand that it was a huge problem. That if I didn't figure out how to keep the ball in play more often, then I just wasn't going to score the way I wanted to. I was not going to hit that zero point 0.0 handicap number that I'd always aspired for. And I'm knocking on the doorstep now.
That's
And
good.
so to um, get 2.5 shots better this year on my handicap, and to um, just start chipping away at what I needed to focus on in my lessons, to go get a putting lesson for the first time, and to really trust in the data informed practice, the
Yeah.
data informed focus has been a huge win for me. I'm really excited to like continue to work this winter and to play my best golf ever as a 41-year-old next year.
Yeah, Eric, I always thought that one of the most important things was to track your shot data when you're playing in tournaments. Because I just thought I've always thought that the feedback was incredible. And like you said, you went and got a putting lesson just to tighten up. I guess you maybe losing a couple of strokes from putting, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
that I almost never, unless I got lucky and drained a bomb, I wasn't putting very well. I wasn't gaining strokes putting, and it's just like, okay, like I
Yeah.
didn't realize that the way I'm putting was that big of an issue. I just thought it was like pretty normal. I know we all don't make a lot of putts, but it was a glaring weakness in my game. So I went and got a putting lesson, and very quickly, I think I reeled off like 8 straight rounds of strokes gained putting.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's really good. So is anything that you um want our listeners to know about this app shot pattern? Anything else you want us to know?
Yeah, I just think that I'm building it for the competitive player. I think if you aren't doing anything right now,
Yeah.
if you're a junior golfer and you're not looking up the course ahead of time, at the very least, use the free version and start looking at golf courses. But even more so, like if you're using something else to track your stats, or if you're doing the very basics of fairways and greens and total putts, there are more insights to uncover by tracking at the depth of strokes gained. And um, the reason why strokes gains exist is because um, those basic stats don't tell you quite enough for you to really dig into the areas where you need to focus most. So, and some of the stuff we've talked about in this podcast has
Hmm.
been maybe too advanced for where you're at right now. I would say start learning, start digging in more. Reach out to me with an email, and I think there are huge opportunities for you to keep working on your game by learning the game of golf beyond golf swing.
Right. So Scott, so Eric, you talk about two different versions, right? So you got the free version and I guess you got the paid version, right? What's the
Yeah.
difference between the two?
Yeah, most everything is in the paid version.
Okay.
But you can use the app, you can get a driver overlay on the screen, you can see an
Okay.
approach circle on the screen, you can look at any golf course basically in the world via the free version.
Okay.
When you pay, that's when you get to personalize, customize, and start collecting your data. One thing we haven't talked about yet is the app collects every single shot point and measures your dispersion relative to your aim point on
Okay.
every shot. So it's part of the data entry experience. The reason why we do that is so that we can reflect it back to you when you have an important decision to make. And
Okay.
so we have something we call the strokes gained predictor. And
Okay.
what that does, you tap the button and it throws down every single data point we have for that club. So let's just call it, should I hit driver on this tight par four?
Mm.
And so you tap the button, and there's 300 drives that you've hit on the course. And as you move them around, it says, all right, 50% in the fairway, 25% in the rough, 15% in the bunker, and 15% in the water. And
Okay.
it tells you if you hit this shot at this target, here's your expected strokes gained. And you can move it around, you can compare it to other clubs, and you can really dial in that customized, personalized plan of attack for any golf course. And again, that's part of what I'm trying to do. That course management for non-pros and so people outside of the top 0.1%
Hmm.
needs to be personalized because we all have this different fingerprint of exactly how our game looks. And so that's really what you get in the premium version is the ability to track it and then the ability to see it.
That's good. Now, I'm not a junior golfer or an elite college golfer or a pro golfer. I'm an 18 index. right now. I think the
Hmm.
lowest I've ever gotten was probably 12. But can this app help a 12 to 18 handicapper?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the first times I took it out in the wild, I was playing with a couple of guys who were actually brand new to any sort of competition in golf. They had gotten into it during COVID. They wanted to play. And I think each of them shot like 125 that day. And I was like, and up until that point, I was like, it's not for them. They're not skilled enough yet for it to help them. They really need to get into the 90s for this to make sense. But as I watched them play, I
Hmm.
realized that they didn't see the golf course in the right way. They didn't understand how to give themselves more margin for error. All the things we've talked about today, they needed it as much as anybody, if not more, because
Right.
there were several times where I would hit a 4 iron and I would aim in the left rough because there's water all down the right. Um, and I'd kind of mishit it into safety, and they would hit a driver and aim it right down the middle, and they'd barely miss, but it ended up in the water. And time again, like they were making really avoidable mistakes because
Hmm.
they couldn't see the golf course in the same way I did. And the app could help them, could help a player like you. And then the most hilarious thing was, again, I thought this course had a lot of trouble. I hit it all over the place. I'm not hitting a lot of drivers.
Right. Right.
And so we get to like the eighth hole,
Hmm.
and it's the first wide open hole of the day. You can miss it 150 yards. You
Anywhere.
can miss it anywhere.
Right. Right.
And so I'm finally like taking a sigh of relief. Oh, thank goodness. I can finally hit a driver. I can finally just let it rip. And I was still looking at my phone before I got out of the cart. And one of the two players who shot 125 that day jumps out in front of me. Is like, you know what? I've seen Eric. He's been hitting iron. He hasn't been hitting drive for all day. I want to be like him. I'm hitting hybrid this hole. And I'm like, oh no, oh no. And it was a competitive event, so I feel like I could give him advice.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But all he did by hitting hybrid was lay back to a point where now he brought bunkers into play that he would have easily carried if he had hit
Get
driver.
drive.
And he just lacked all of that context of where might this shot go? Where
Right.
is the safe landing area? What does this mean for my game? And so again, it can fit for any player.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to know. I'm gonna have to test it out. I have to figure out how to borrow iPhone and see if I can download the apps.
So yeah, iPhone, iPad, we have a Mac app. If you got
Yeah.
any access to the Apple ecosystem, we can help.
Okay. Okay. I definitely have to check that out. Well, let's do some rapid. Let's get ready to wind this thing up. I'm gonna do some rapid questions for you, and then we're gonna talk about how our audience can reach you. And I think you may have a big announcement toward the end, right?
I think so. I think if we're
Okay.
on the same page, yeah.
All right. Good. Good. Okay. So I'm asking you a couple questions. Driver or putter?
Driver.
Okay. That's right, because you bomb it, right?
Yeah, I bomb it. Yeah.
Good. Who's your favorite tour player?
Patrick Rogers. I got to walk inside the ropes with him when he was still an amateur.
Yeah, yeah. How's he doing as of late? He's doing pretty good.
He had a good finish a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Okay.
I have a connection to one of his family members as well, so I like to
Yeah,
root for him.
good. If you could put together a dream foursome, who would your other players be?
Whew, I love Tiger Woods.
Okay.
So
So
Tiger's in
Tiger.
there.
Okay.
Rory McIlroy. My daughter's name
Good.
is Rory, so there's two.
There's two. Got one more.
And you know what? No better person to do it with than my dad. So we'll have
Okay,
it be
yeah.
the four of us.
Good. Your dad plays too?
Yeah. So yeah, my parents introduced me to the game when I was young, and
Okay.
they would leave me at home to go play. I'd be chomping at the bit to go with them. So, but they introduced it to me when I was a kid.
Good, good. Walk or ride?
I like to walk.
You like to walk?
Yeah.
Get some good exercise in, right?
And yeah, that's the way I justify it. If the round's not going well, I just like, well, at least I get good exercise.
I just had a LPGA caddy on one of my previous podcasts, and she said the bags are 50 pounds and they have to walk 10 miles.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm a terrible caddy, and I'd hate
Right, right.
lugging it. But I'll take a
Yeah,
push cart and I'll walk.
right. All right. What's your encore snack? What do you like to snack on while you're playing?
Yeah, I saw this. So I have gotten into a great habit of stealing my 6-year-old's food and putting it into my golf bag. So I have a very precise on
Okay.
course snack.
What's that?
It's an Uncrustable,
Okay. Okay.
a beef stick, a applesauce pouch, and
Mm.
goldfish. And basically, as soon as I feel a little sugar drop, I have the applesauce. Then I have the peanut butter and jelly. We get it around hole 10 or 11. I have the beef stick. If I'm still hungry, I'll have the goldfish. But
All right.
it's like clockwork every time.
That's a nice little medley of snacks there.
It's a child's lunch, but it works for me.
Good. What's your on-course drink?
I love Gatorade.
Gatorade. Good. Now, what's your all-time favorite golf movie?
Tin Cup. I
Okay.
can nearly recite that one start to finish.
Okay. No, no Happy Gilmore. No.
I mean it's there, Caddyshack's there, but
Caddyshack, yeah.
something about Tin Cup, the hopeless romantic, the guy gets the girl, just all the golf puns. It tickles me.
Good. Good. Favorite golf course that you've played and the golf course that you want to play.
Ooh, that's good. I've been really lucky to go to a lot of nice places with my
Yeah.
family. Um, I think Castle Stewart in Scotland sits
Okay.
atop in terms of favorite that I've played.
Okay.
Whistling Straits might be there if I could have. I didn't walk down the fairway; I just hit from the sand the entire time. So, but
Hmm.
Castle Stewart's going to be number one.
Okay.
And then place that I would love to play. Um, there's
Might get an invite. Let them know, but might get an
a
invite out there.
well, I mean, I've exchanged emails with some people down there, so why don't we just say Augusta?
Of
Yeah,
course.
I've helped out the Augusta National Golf Foundation a little bit with.
Yeah.
They support a couple of teams down there. So Augusta, if you're listening, I'm
Come on.
available.
Come on. Augusta National. Get my man Eric Duffett out and let him get around on one of the toughest courses in the world.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room to miss out there. It'd be a tough day, but that's all right.
Good. Now, Eric, who would you like to give thanks to? Any, body that supported you along this golf journey that you like to thank?
Yeah, my family, my wife
Mhm.
is does incredible stuff for my family. Has helped me figure out how to juggle this with being an entrepreneur and a full time teacher.
Yeah,
And it has helped me make the toughest decisions along the way in a really supportive manner. So her, and then yeah, my mom and dad, my sister, they've all been great supporters.
beautiful, beautiful. All right. So how can our audience find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm Shot Pattern on Instagram is probably the best place. I have a TikTok account that's not very active, but I'm also on X all the time.
Okay.
There's a YouTube page with some tutorials, some videos on what the app looks like, how to use it. But Instagram's probably the best place, and then our website is shotpattern.app, and that's a really good spot. And are we ready for the big surprise?
We ready for the unveil, the big announcement.
Yeah, so we just wrapped up our Black Friday sales
Okay.
where users could get 40% off a 1 year subscription, which is a great deal.
Okay.
It's the best price we ever offer.
Okay.
But for Junior Golf Podcast listeners,
Come on,
we'll
come on,
extend
come
it
on,
out
Eric, give it to
until
us.
the end of the year. So
Okay.
we'll set the expiration date December 31st. If you listen, you want to give it a shot, it still comes with a week trial. So you can try it out, see if it's for you. Send me an email, ask any questions. We'll extend that 40% off sale out to the listeners.
Good. And Eric, do they need a code for that?
So we'll put a link in the bio.
Okay. Awesome.
Again, we will the link typically takes them right to the checkout stage. So if you want to
Okay.
check out Shot Pattern, you can go to shotpattern.app, and then however is best for you to share that link with your audience.
Yeah.
We and I don't know, what do you want to should we just say the code that will be included in the link will be Junior Golf Pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
And so we'll include that
Yeah.
as part of the link that we share out.
Okay. Awesome. Well, listen, Eric, thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight. I've always loved shot data and felt like it could help. And I think with your app, it just makes it easier and it's going to really help the golfers that want to kind of take their game to the next level. So appreciate you sharing.